The sky hasn't decided what it wants to be yet. It is no longer bright, but it hasn't fully let go of the day. The light feels thinner now, as if it is being stretched quietly across the town, becoming softer with every minute. Some people are still outside. They move a little slower than before, as if the day has already begun to loosen its grip on them. Cars pass by, but not as often. Their sounds don't linger. They come, and then they fade, leaving space behind. Shops are still open, but not all of them. A few doors are closed already, their windows dark, reflecting the sky instead of the street. There is no rush in the air, no clear moment where the day ends and night begins. It simply changes, so gently that it is easy not to notice. The sidewalks feel wider now, not because they have grown, but because fewer footsteps are passing through them. A bicycle rolls by in the distance. Its sound is soft, almost polite, as if it doesn't want to disturb anything. Somewhere, a window opens briefly, then closes again. Nothing important happens, and nothing needs to. The town is not trying to sleep yet. It is only beginning to rest. The light continues to fade, not suddenly, but patiently. Shadows stretch a little longer. Colors become less certain. Edges blur just enough that the world feels less demanding. People inside their homes begin small routines, not because they have to, but because it feels like the right time. There is still movement, but it carries less weight. Voices are quieter. Sounds stay closer to where they begin. The town is learning how to let the day go, one detail at a time. And you don't have to follow any of it closely. You don't need to remember where you are, or what comes next. This moment does not require attention. It only exists, slowly, as the light continues to soften, and the evening gently makes room for itself. Not all at once. Just a few at first, appearing quietly, as if they have always been there. Each light feels different. Some are warm. Some are pale. Some barely reach the glass, staying close to the room inside. From the outside, there is no way to know what is happening within those spaces. And that feels right. A light turns on, and nothing else changes. The street remains still. The sky continues to dim, without paying attention to any of it. Behind one window, someone moves slowly across a room. Behind another, nothing moves at all. There is no story to follow. Only the quiet presence of places being used, without explanation. More lights appear as time passes. Not because something is happening, but because evening has arrived. And this is what usually comes with it. Curtains remain open in some homes. In others, they are already drawn. Both feel equally calm. Sounds from inside. Stay inside. Whatever conversations exist, do not reach the street. They fade before becoming clear. The town feels softer now. Not smaller. Not emptier. Just less defined. A window flickers briefly, then steadies. Another remains dim. Content with very little light. There is no need to remember which ones are on. No need to count them. They are not signals. They do not ask for attention. They are simply there, keeping the evening company. Time continues. Without being marked, the sky darkens a little more. The streetlights do not hurry. They wait until the moment feels settled. Inside the buildings, small routines continue. Unremarkable, unimportant. And that is what makes them gentle. Nothing in this moment needs a response. Nothing needs to be decided. The lights remain steady and quiet as the town slowly learns how to exist with less daylight. The street begins to feel wider, not because it has changed, but because fewer things are moving through it. The spaces between sounds grow longer. When a sound appears, it stays only briefly, then leaves again. Footsteps are rare now. When they happen, they are already fading. By the time they are noticed, a shop closes somewhere nearby. The sound of the door is soft, almost careful, as if it knows the evening is already settled. Lights remain on, but they no longer feel active. They do not suggest anything. They simply continue. The road holds the quiet without effort. Nothing presses against it. Nothing asks to pass. Cars move through occasionally, their presence gentle, their sound dissolving before it reaches very far. The air feels heavier, not with weight, but with stillness. Shadows lose their edges. They stretch, then soften, until they no longer seem separate from the ground beneath them. There is no need to keep track of where anything is. Positions no longer matter. Distances become less clear. The street does not lead anywhere right now. It simply exists, resting between places that have already slowed down. Time continues, but it does not announce itself. Nothing arrives. Nothing leaves in a way that needs attention. The street remains open and quiet, holding the space between moments. Even the lights seem less concerned with being noticed. They stay where they are, steady and patient, without expectation. The town has begun to forget the shape of the day, and it does so calmly, without resistance, allowing the evening to take over the spaces that no longer need to be filled. Only a few lights remain now. They are scattered, not arranged in any pattern, appearing wherever they happen to be left on. Some glow softly behind curtains, Others sit alone in empty rooms, lighting nothing in particular. They do not suggest activity. They do not signal that anyone is awake. They are simply present. The spaces between them feel larger. Darkness settles comfortably, filling areas that no longer need detail. The town does not resist this. It allows the light to become minimal, just enough to exist. Sounds are almost gone. Not completely, but so faint that they no longer form shapes. If something moves, it does so quietly, without direction, without purpose. The air feels even, unchanging, as if it has reached a steady state. Time no longer feels like it is moving forward. It feels held, suspended gently, without pressure. The remaining lights do not compete with the dark. They rest inside it. Nothing needs to be checked. Nothing needs to be remembered. The idea of distance fades. Near and far lose their meaning. Everything feels equally quiet. The town has almost finished letting go. What remains is not activity, but presence. Light exists. Darkness exists. Neither asks for attention. The spaces between thoughts grow wider. Moments stretch, then soften until they no longer need to be defined. There is no expectation here, no next moment that requires preparation. The town stays as it is, with very little light, and even less need to be aware of it. There is very little left to notice now. Not because everything has disappeared, but because nothing is asking to be seen. The town remains, quietly holding its shape, without drawing attention to it. Light is no longer something that stands out. It exists only where it needs to, and nowhere else. Darkness does not arrive suddenly. It settles slowly and evenly until it feels familiar. The spaces between things become gentle. They no longer separate. They simply exist. Nothing moves in a way that matters. Nothing stays long enough to be remembered. Time loosens its structure. Moments no longer follow one another. They rest side by side, without urgency. The town does not watch itself. It does not keep track of what remains awake and what has already drifted away. It allows everything to be where it is. Sounds, if they appear at all, are already fading. They do not travel. They do not linger. There is no need to stay with them. The idea of place softens. The idea of distance fades. Even the idea of night loses its definition. What remains is not a scene, not a story, not an ending, only a quiet continuity. The town stays as it is, without requiring attention, without expecting anything more. And it will remain this way, whether it is being noticed or not.